Welcome inside TD Place for this afternoon's matchup between Ottawa Fury FC and Atlanta United 2. Graham Ivory alongside Gordon Smith for today's broadcast. Gord, Ottawa Fury FC come into this game with a load of confidence after a midweek draw last week 0-0 against New York Red Bulls 2. They go to Harrisburg on Monday night, pick up a 1-0 victory over Penn FC, their first victory of the season. Match winner coming from Colin Falvey in the 87th minute. Huge relief for this club. Yeah. Now 1-2-4 on the season.
Well, I mean, it's amazing what confidence does for you. Here we see the actual winning goal. It bounces around a couple of times inside the 6-yard box, and there's Colin Falvey absolutely rocketing the ball from all of 40 yards. No, it was really only about 4.5, but it doesn't matter how it ends up the back of the net. And there you see sheer joy from the Fury players as that ball hit the back of the net. And as we said, it's all about being in the right place at the right time. Hooks it in beyond the goalkeeper. There was a claim for a foul. It wasn't given. Not much really, in all honesty, there. And it's amazing the confidence that comes back from a team that wins 1-0 on the road. We'll
talk about Falvey again in a moment, but as we look at our players to watch, starting with the visiting Atlanta United 2, John Gallagher.
Well, 4 goals out of the 9 that they've actually put in the back of the net so far this season. And he's a player the Ottawa Fury are really going to have to be wary of here this afternoon. Someone that Dan can put the ball in the back of the net. I think most of his goals have been scored inside the box this year, so certainly a player like Colin Falvey and Henry will have to be very, very wary at all times where he is and around the box.
Well, and outside of that rocket against FC Cincinnati, every goal that the Fury have conceded this season have come inside the penalty area. Yeah. As we look at our Fury FC player to watch this afternoon, and that's the man who scored the match winner on Monday night, Colin Falvey.
Oh, we've talked his praises over the course of these first 4 or 5 weeks, Graham, just outstanding at the back, leading it. And I think we're now starting to see the rewards of that defensive play. Falvey and Henry have getting a really nice combination together in the back line for the Ottawa Fury, supported nicely by Eddie Edward and young Jaguar on the outside left here this afternoon.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with the opening kickoff between Ottawa Fury FC and Atlanta United 2. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Did you know the Brick is 100% proudly Canadian? We employ over 5,000 Canadians, and nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Gabriel Pizza, proud supporter of local sports. Gabriel Pizza, home of the bigger, better pizza. 310 7777 or GabrielPizza.com.
What do you live for? Is it for your crew? For overcoming obstacles? Live for what you want. So what do you live for?
Hey, Impreza. What's new?
Well, I've got this available reverse automatic braking feature.
Oh.
When I reverse, I can automatically brake if I'm about to hit something.
All I do is beep.
Subaru
Beep.
Impreza.
Beep. Ouch.
Welcome back to TD Place, moments away from the opening kickoff between Ottawa Fury FC and Atlanta United 2. Before we get to that, let's have a look at our starting 11 for both sides this afternoon, starting with the visiting Atlanta United 2. 4-4-2 setup, Gord. Ottawa's seen a variety of lineups come against them this year. 4-5-1, 4-2-3-1, what we saw with FC Cincinnati looked most effective. But 4-4-2 is what we'll see from Atlanta United this afternoon as we await that graphic here in a moment. For Fury FC, we're going to see that standard 4-3-3, but having a look at Atlanta United, you talk about John Gallagher, he's the guy to watch. And looking now at Ottawa Fury FC, Thomas Meyer-Giguère has really won himself an opportunity in that starting lineup since coming in for Onwell Bassi, who picked up an injury early in that game against New York last week.
And he looked really comfortable when he came into that game as a substitution. I think obviously coach has enough confidence in him here this afternoon to put him up against, a fairly potent attack. We saw Carleton there. I think we just played a little bit withdrawn just behind Gallagher up front, but it will be an opportunity. Two Irishmen playing against each other, Gallagher, Falvey. That will be a key matchup here this afternoon.
Interesting note about Fury FC, 7 Canadians in the starting 11 here this afternoon, so that is certainly something that I know General Manager Julian de Guzman is going to be pleased with, as 17 Canadians in the entire squad for Fury FC this season. They've got 7 in that starting 11. Maxime Crépeau, coming off a birthday yesterday, gets the starting goal. He comes into this one with a shutout streak of 193 consecutive minutes. Thomas Meyer-Giguère, Daniil Henry, Colin Falvey, Eddie Edward across the back four, Jamar Dixon, Christian Portilla, and Kevin Oliveira across the midfield. Adonijah Reid, Steven DeSantos, and Carl Howarth across the front three for Ottawa.
Well, they will see the big lad there, DeSantos. He will be crucial this afternoon, certainly in this setup that Coach Popovich has out there. I mean, obviously DeSantos, when you play in that false nine, you're looking for a lot of movement. You've got a big lad out there, 6 foot plus. He's obviously going to be a different option for you. If you get that ball at the back, player like Falvey possibly looking to launch the ball long, try and create those 1v1 situations with DeSantos in and around the 18-yard box. I feel he's got to push up a little bit more, Graham, get closer to the attacking 18-yard box. A couple of times we've watched him play, he's coming very, very deep into central midfield to try and just get the service, which has been denied him an awful lot in these first few games that he's played in.
And prior to today's game, you and I had a great opportunity to chat with Scott Donnelly, the head coach of Atlanta United too, and he shed a lot of light on some of the challenges that his squad faces, primarily with the fact that you're an MLS affiliate, a direct kind of reserve source for the MLS side. So you're dealing with a lot of inconsistency in that roster. The continuity isn't always there, and you've got a lot of young players in your squad. And one of those players, and talking about the role that Steven DeSantos is going to have today, one of the guys that's going to have to mark him is going to be Kendall Edwards, the 17-year-old. He's 6'2", so size-wise he matches up. But in terms of experience, the scales certainly tipped heavily in favor of Steven DeSantos. But Edwards will have A.J. Cochran, the veteran center back, 25 years of age, 6'3". So again, good size and some experience beside Edwards to try and help him work through his development in really his first season as a pro.
And just getting back to Coach Donnelly, quality person. We spent about 10 minutes with him, and just his demeanour, he just came across as a very, very classy individual, Graham. And that's the type of players that coaches that you want to be bringing to this league, that can develop players. Obviously, an Atlanta situation is a lot different than an Ottawa situation. Coach Popovich is going out there. His mandate is to win. Certainly Atlanta want to go out there and win as well, but it's all about developing players for the top team for Atlanta during the course of a season.
Opportunity for Adonijah Reid now into the penalty area, leaves it off for DeSantos, and the left-footed strike missing wide at the back post, but a quick movement inside the penalty area for Ottawa, and they get their first good opportunity of the game, picking up where they left off Monday night in Harrisburg.
Yeah, Adonijah Reid, I love the little jinky run down this left channel, and he was the last second, took a look up, saw DeSantos taking up a decent position, half a yard of space in the 18-yard box, Graham. Unfortunately, just screwed that left-footed shot wide off that far post.
And an additional note on Scott Donnelly, native of Buffalo, New York. His wife's family from Canton, New York, so they've spent a lot of time up here in Ottawa. Does have some family in Ottawa as well, so he was certainly excited to have some friendly faces in the crowd supporting him in Atlanta United here this afternoon.
It's always nice when you do have offside. It's always nice when you do have a situation where you're somewhat familiar with the territory, the area you're coming in. Obviously, this is his first time being in the stadium here, and he was quite impressed with how things are looking here. But it's a huge game for both teams here. I mean, obviously, we're getting into the situation when you're coming up on that almost a quarter of the season already, getting beyond that after today's games. And it's a situation where two teams down near the bottom of the standings. Atlanta sitting in 14th with 6 points, Ottawa in 15th with 5 points. That win on Monday vaulting them out of last place and above Toronto FC. But two teams that sort of seem to be going the opposite direction from each other. As you'd mentioned, 3 losses on the bounce now for Atlanta. Ottawa's picked up 4 points in their last 3 games, a win, a draw and a loss. So things might be looking up a little bit better for the Ottawa Fury in terms of current form, but it's all about what you do out there on the afternoon. And certainly Atlanta with a lot of young players out there gaining all sorts of experience playing at this level here in 2018.
Well, and when you look at Ottawa Fury FC, Gordon, and you talk about the fact that we're kind of getting towards that quarter mark of this season, and after going without a win inside their first 6 games, certainly a huge result for them Monday night in Harrisburg over Penn FC, but a great opportunity for them to put another 3 points in the bank here this afternoon, not just because they're playing against the younger side, but they're playing against a side who've lost 3 straight, winless in their last 6, albeit they won their first match of the season, drew 3 straight, and have since lost 3. But they've struggled to score. They've struggled to keep the ball out of the back of their own net in those last 3 games. 2 goals for, 8 goals against, whereas you look at Ottawa in their last 5, only two goals for in that 1-1 draw with North Carolina, and of course that 1-0 win Monday against Penn FC. But they've conceded just the 5, and if you take that Cincinnati game out of there, well, just 1 goal out of the other 4 games. So defensively, they've really shored things up, and now I think that's given them the confidence and the comfort to be able to work on things going forward now that they've sorted themselves out a lot more defensively.
Yeah, you have to be solid at the back at any level of football if you want to win. I mean, certainly goals win championships, but defence is the ones that keeps you in there. And if you're in a situation where you've got a solid back 4 and Portilla sitting as that holding midfielder, Graham, just makes that a little bit tougher for teams to break them down as well.
Adonijah Reed with some great work to come back and intercept that ball and clear it back out to the midfield. As Reed tracked all the way back down that left side, takes a hard knock there. And foul goes against Adonijah Reed against Kisadou.
Yeah, that was a bit, when he came in to make a challenge here, we see it on the replay, just a little bit high there with the foot, almost shin height, and I think that's what Popovich on the Ottawa bench was screaming for. The free kick there, didn't get it, and eventually Reed did have to foul for the free kick now for Atlanta going the other way.
Well, we're talking about young players for Atlanta United, but Adonijah Reed, someone to look at for Ottawa. 18 years of age, came into the club midway through last season at 17 years of age, and to see how quickly he's developed. Delivered into the penalty area, that one headed away. Kisadou was first under that one. Now falls to the feet of Captain Jack Metcalf. Touch gets away from him, out for a goal kick. Metcalf from England, 26 years of age. Where's the captain's armband for Atlanta United? A couple names that might be familiar to our listeners and our viewing audience who've followed Fury FC throughout the years. AJ Cochran, would have seen him both from Ottawa's time in the NASL and the USL, as well as Sean Nicklaw from USL days, featured with Jacksonville Armada.
And of course this week we had a couple of call-ups from the USL to the men's national team from Atlanta. Andrew Carleton and Chris Goslin, a couple of games coming up against Honduras next week, so Coach Donnelly was saying that they may end up missing a game or two just based on their international commitments, but it's always nice to see players from any level, but certainly at the USL level, and we see them on a week-in, week-out basis, and to be going off to represent your country at any level is a real accomplishment, and I wish the best of luck to everyone that's involved in any international games over the next week or so.
Andrew Carleton, 17 years of age, is the strike partner alongside John Gallagher this afternoon for Atlanta. He does have 1 goal this season. Chris Goslin, as you mentioned, also getting that call-up. He's 18 years of age and featuring in the midfield here this afternoon. Kisadou coming down that right side again. Couple step-overs, drives an effort. Good block there by Thomas Mayer-Giguère. Kevin Oliveira wins it to Adonijah Reed, trying to find his way out of pressure, gets it to Oliveira. Quick pressure coming. Outlets to Portilla, couple of nifty moves there, plays it forward. DeSantos gets there and takes a hard challenge.
That's a possible yellow there. I mean,
that from AJ Cochran, who also goes down on the play.
Yeah, DeSantos, I think, mate, when he fell, looks like he's got a wrist problem as well, just as much as anything else. But nice quick feet work there by Portilla, breaks away, and Santos just nips in front of Cochran. Cochran catches him. I think the two of them stayed down. The referee is just going to have a quick word with Cochran here to...
Yeah, he is very late. He got the trailing foot of Steven DeSantos kind of on the shin area. And I think he might have got the left arm of DeSantos in the face. So Cochran does go into the books here in the 10th minute with a yellow card for that late challenge.
I mean, the 10th minute mark now, Graham, he's walking a tightrope as one of the defenders to try and keep the Fury at bay here this afternoon on a yellow card, but hopefully DeSantos gets... DeSantos has had a bright start to this game here, Graham. He's been involved, obviously had the chance about the 5-minute mark. He's nipped in there a couple of times to take the ball off of defenders, and he might be well up for this match here this afternoon. I mean, certainly the Fury have not had the problems to seek here in 2018. It's all about putting the ball in the back of the net, Graham, and they've only done that 3 times this season. And when you have a goal difference of -11, 3 goals for, 14 goals against, you can discount the first couple of games when you look at the 5-0 drubbing and the 4-1. You take those 9 goals out, all of a sudden now you're getting into a fairly decent defensive setup. But it's all about creating chances in the attacking third, Graham, and for a lot of games this season it's been pretty quiet. They did a little bit better against Penn FC. I thought some of their play was good. I thought some of their quality opportunities was better, but it took a very late goal by Colin Falvey to secure all 3 points, and I'm sure that Coach Popovich would rather have a goal or 2 in the bag a lot earlier than that to settle things down here, not only on the park but off the park as well, and get these fans back into this match.
Should mention that our match officials for today's match, Yusri Rudolph in the middle, Daniel Belot and Michael Barrigan are the linesmen, and Carolyn Chenard, the 4th official here this afternoon, as we tick over into the 12th minute. Still 0-0 here at TD Place as we have a look at our 3 keys to the game here this afternoon. Key number 1, keep trusting the system. The overall performance continues to improve for Fury FC. Defensively, things have been very strong for Ottawa, allowing them to create more chances going forward. Key number 2, take control early. As we mentioned, Atlanta is mired in a 6-game winless streak and have lost their last 3. Ottawa must not allow this team to have any hope of picking up a result here at TD Place. And key number 3, Oliveira to finish. Kevin Oliveira leads the team with shots and is often leading the Fury's attack. Now he needs to finish, whether it's setting up a goal or putting one in the back of the net. He's a key part to Ottawa's attack and will need to have a strong performance here this afternoon. I
think the one thing from Oliveira, certainly Reed on this near side, they've got to get forward. They've got to make sure they commit bodies, the Fury, into the 18-yard box. Far too many times this season, Graham, we've saw a good counter-attack play and you get your head up in a wide position and there's one player in that box to aim for and 4 opposition shots. You've got to make sure that players from central midfield are taking a gamble. They're just taking a risk, deciding, what the heck, I'm going to go for it. Break their neck to get into the 18-yard box, give another option or 2 for a player playing a ball in from a wide position.
Carranza dispossessed. Now Oliveira tries to send it forward. That was too heavy for Steven DeSantos as he was met by a challenge by Ollie Shannon, who had come across to close down Kevin Oliveira. Kendall Edwards plays this one over the top. Laurent Kissadou's not going to get to that one, and Maxime Crépeau keeping it in play inside his own penalty area.
Well, it's been a fairly decent start by the Fury, certainly in the back, Graham. I mean, there has been an awful lot from open play inside these first 13 and a half minutes that Atlanta's looked to bother the Fury, and I think that's something that Coach Popovich will be happy about, that defensive stronghold from them over the last 3 or 4 games is continuing. Obviously, a player of the experience of Henry coming in here, Graham, has made a huge difference.
Opportunity now, Adonijah Reed outlets to Carl Howarth. Howarth cuts in. Howarth shot right on target. Nicolas Carreau able to get down to his left to make that save as Carl Howarth getting inside the penalty area, cuts inside on Cochran, and the left-footed strike well read by Carreau, who was already down to make the save.
A terrific penetrating run once again by Reid though, Graham. He's really putting the back four here to the sword this afternoon. He's had a couple of really good runs already. Carl Haworth found himself in all sorts of space in and around that 18-yard box, Graham. He cut it back nicely onto his left foot, but just unfortunately couldn't get enough power on it to get it in behind the goalkeeper.
Steven DeSantos almost tracked down that loose ball that wasn't controlled very well by Kendall Edwards.
And again, Graham, a lot of the times the difference between playing on natural grass at home and coming to an artificial type surface like this, we've talked about it before, the ball does check up an awful lot on this type of surface. You don't get that natural bounce, that natural spin. It checks back an awful lot, and I think that's what happened to the defender there. DeSantos knew what was going to happen. It would come back towards him. Unfortunately, he just mistimed his own jump and wasn't able to get the contact on it. Reid obviously was in an offside position. He just had to let the ball continue. DeSantos, good read to know that was what was happening.
And going back to our conversation with Atlanta head coach Scott Donnelly earlier, he was talking about, you know, hey, the system that we play, it's a system that, you know, that's what the big club wants us to play. That's how we ask our players to play. So we kind of have to understand and be okay with some of the errors, some of the missteps and all that that's going to follow as they learn the system. A dangerous giveaway there. Yeah, Jose Carranza.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a foul that was given or possibly an offside or something there, Graham, but certainly the whistle went, but it was handball. A dangerous handball, there you go. It was a dangerous turnover, but yeah, it's a good point. And any time you're in that type of situation, certainly there's an affiliation with the impact that the Fury have, but when you're in a situation where you're really on a 1-to-2 situation, you have a coach that comes and says, listen, we need you to play this player this week because he's on the edge or possibly getting called up to the first team. You have to listen to what they're telling you.
There's an opportunity from Adonijah Reid from the top of the 18, and he sent that one up and over the bar after Steven DeSantos brought that down nicely.
Well, again, it's another half chance, though. You know, the ball was won nicely there. It goes, just sits up a little bit high for him there as he tries to get it on the third bounce. But again, another shot at goal, not necessarily on target. I think we've only got the one so far that Carl put right into the goalkeeper's breadbasket. But it's nice to see a nice bright start by the Fury here this afternoon. They look lively in attack. They're battling very hard in central midfield. And the back four again look like Gallagher and Carlton are well under reins here so far inside these first 17 minutes.
Reid called for the foul on Ollie Shannon. Played through the middle. Kisadou has some room to run here. Gets it in behind Daniil Henry, but Colin Falvey there to shepherd that one into touch as he tried to pick out John Gallagher.
Yeah, I think Gallagher's run was going to be just in behind Henry towards the right side of the goal, and unfortunately the ball went behind him. But Gallagher was just pointing ahead. That's where he wanted it. A lot of really good movement by Gallagher up front here. You know, sometimes when you're playing in that lone striker role with a player just in behind you, it's a little bit difficult coming up against two very big physical players like Henry and Colin Falvey, but you know, it's all about movement for Gallagher. He's got to make sure he gets in behind them.
Bit too heavy of a ball there from Kevin Oliveira, trying to spring Adonijah Reid, who had a step on Kendall Edwards.
Yeah, Gallagher still having a chat there with Kisadou, just saying, that's where I wanted it, that's where I expect the ball to be. When I'm ready to commit to that run, I need that service to be there.
Well, and Kisadou likes to drift out to that right-hand side. So obviously Meyer Giguère is going to have to watch him in that left-back role, but Christian Portilla also having to drop into that pocket in the midfield to help close down the space to limit the amount of room that Kisadou has to run.
And I think that's what we're trying to see Carlton do right now. If he can get in that pocket of space between Portilla as the holding midfielder and Falvey and Henry, there's about a 10-15 yard gap. If he's able to fill that in there and get the service in turn, he's now 1v1 with one of the two stoppers, with Gallagher making a run off him. It could be a bit of an issue for the Fury here this afternoon.
Eddie Edward with a good run down that right side, but the ball into Carl Howarth, a bit too heavy on the return feed, and And that one out for a gold kick. 19th minute here at TD Place, remains 0-0 between Ottawa and Atlanta.
Well, Atlanta coming in, as you mentioned, Graham, no clean sheets on the season. They've conceded a goal every single game, so that would be something the Fury will look towards, grasp on a little bit of hope here this afternoon. The Fury obviously coming in with 2 clean sheets their last 2 matches, a 1-0 win against Penn and then that 0-0 tie on the school day game against New York Red Bulls. But it's been a far better performance over the last 5 games for the Fury. Throwing out that second half against Cincinnati, it was a loss to Pitt 1-0, tied North Carolina 1-1, Cincinnati 3-0, and then those 2 results we just talked about. So it's getting better. Certainly Popovich, if you listen to what he's got to say in the newspaper and on radio and different things like that, he's getting a little happier with how things are going. But like everything else, Graham, a new system, a new team, new players, new tactics, everything pretty much brand new again for the Fury here in 2018. And it is just going to take a little bit of time to get everything sorted out.
AJ Cochran first there to bring that one down as Carl Howard looked to chase down the long ball forward.
Yeah, he actually got in a couple of yards behind the left side of the Atlanta back 4, but I think it was on this near side. It was number 15, Nicola, that was playing him on side. And he was allowed to continue with his run, just couldn't bring it under control, but a decent ball by Falvey there off the free kick.
Carreau controls it, quickly outlets to Kendall Edwards. Atlanta played across the back and try and move it forward. Out to the left side. Carl Howarth chipping in and knocked that one into touch to thwart the Atlanta attack. Still in possession. Played back for Ollie Shannon. Now Kendall Edwards. Pressure coming from Kevin Oliveira. Forces him all the way back to Nicholas Carreau. Well outside of his goal. Cochran through the middle. Adonijah Reed intercepts for Ottawa. He goes down, no foul called, allowing Kisidu with a chance to break for Atlanta.
The referee brought the whistle to the mouth there, but decided to not blow it. I think he initially thought that may be a free kick as well, but in the end decided against it.
Again, good work by Kevin Oliveira to win back possession. Now in all sorts of trouble. A few nifty moves there, still going.
Yeah, he's got to keep going forward there. A couple of times he got beyond players, and Graham just turned right back into where the defender was, and Coach Popovich will be a little bit disappointed that you had an opportunity for a nice counter-attack down this left-hand side. Nothing came of it. Now you've got to defend the corner.
Yeah, that went off the top of the head of Thomas Meyer-Giguère, so first corner of the afternoon for either side. But to Oliveira's credit, he did good work there, but he really didn't have an outlet to try and release that ball too. Here's the delivery. Top of the 6-yard box, and that header up and over the bar. I think that was Cochran who had made the run into the 18-yard box.
Yeah, good deep ball there off the corner kick from Carleton goalkeeper. Obviously it's too far out for him to come. Just couldn't get up enough above the ball to get it goal bound, and it sailed high and wide of that left-hand post.
Dixon with the flick over to Reed. His effort to Carl Howarth was blocked, and now Ottawa try to reset things inside their own half. Meyer-Giguère pokes that one forward for Oliveira. Can't get a clean touch on it. Now still going after it and still going. Kevin Oliveira tries to cut inside Cochran. Well defended there by the Atlanta defender. And now Atlanta United with a chance to break here down that left side. Colin Falvey first there for Ottawa to head that one into touch, and again thwart an Atlanta opportunity.
Well, again, lively in the midfield third, going into the attacking third. Graham Oliveira pushing forward a little bit better, a little bit more that we talked about earlier on. Get into those more advanced positions, force Atlanta back a good 5-10 yards towards their own 18-yard box.
Gallagher tried to flick that one on. but completely missed it, and it goes into Maxime Crépeau, who waits to get some attention from Gallagher. Mayer Giguère back to Daniil Henry. Skies this one into the Atlanta half. Brought down by Sean Nicklaw. Edwards all the way back to his goalkeeper, but mishits that one. That was should have been out.
That was about 3 yards out.
Kick. I can't believe that neither Yusri Rudolph or his linesman was able to pick that one up. It was well out of play.
It wasn't even close, Graham, was it? I mean, it was. I think a defender certainly chased after it, thinking he may still be getting on the end of it, but it was at least. I mean, here we see it. Here is a poor pass back, just turned and knocks it back, and there we see the goalkeeper sliding across.
Not even close.
No, it was. Now, to be fair, the assistant on the far side is shielded with the goalkeeper going to ground, but the referee was probably far better placed to make that decision. Everyone has just seen the ball rolling out on the scoreboard here and couldn't believe that a call wasn't made, but does it matter? You continue to play to the whistle, and that's exactly what the Fury are doing right now, building down that right-hand side.
Eddie Edward now in possession of Jamar Dixon. Nice turn-off pressure there from Carleton. Back inside their own half. Falvey switches it over for Daniil Henry. Now Thomas Mayer Giguère. Oh, plays that one down the line nicely for Adonijah Reed. Reed tries to cut inside. Gets over onto his left foot. Can he poke it across? There to Howard. DeSantos. He's got it. Steven DeSantos has opened the scoring in the 26th minute. A great effort from Adonijah Reed to find Carl Howarth, and Steven DeSantos has scored for Ottawa to make it 1-0.
Well, the difference there between a lot of the other chances we've had so far in this game, Graham, is there was bodies committed into the 18-yard box. A terrific piece of skill once again by Reed down this left-hand side. He's given this back four fits all game so far, 26 minutes in. Lovely little piece of skill, little step over, cuts back onto his left. As the ball gets cut back, Carl Howard completely misses on it, and it goes to the back post. A lovely assist by Carl, if you want to call it that, but DeSantos drives it into the roof of the net with the aid of a deflection, and sheer joy on the faces of the Ottawa Fury if they have taken a 1-0 lead here this afternoon.
First goal of the season for Steven DeSantos, and the first goal in the first half for Ottawa this season. So huge score for Ottawa. Great work by Adonijah Reed, but the credit has to go all the way back to Thomas Mayer Giguère, who put that ball down that left side into a great spot, checked up nicely on the turf for Adonijah Reed, who cut inside, delivered that ball to the top of the 6-yard box, hit by Carl Howarth, right to the feet of Steven DeSantos.
And you know, strikers, Graham, find space inside the box. A striker worth his weight in gold will find the space. He won't just stand and be marked by a white shirt. DeSantos knew that there was space at the back post area. I'll head back there. If I'm lucky enough that it comes to me, I am going to get the goal. I am going to get a chance for a shot on target, and that's exactly what happened. He may not have hit it 100% clean. It came in off a deflection, but the fact of the matter is you've got the ball in the back of the net. You've got your first goal at home here in 2018, and you've just got to now move on. Actually, sorry, you got to go at home against Carolina. My apologies. But it's just brought this crowd to life, Graham, hasn't it? I mean, yes, they had chances, but the fact of the matter was it was still a fairly quiet stadium, and now you've given them a reason to cheer. And DeSantos, you know, we did say at the top of the show, Graham, I'd like to see him get forward a little bit more. Don't be coming so deep. Well, he's done that in spades here this afternoon, Graham. 28 minutes in, he's got the all-important opening goal here for the Fury this afternoon.
Jamar Dixon outlets to Mayer Giguère. Portilla, first touch, skies this one. DeSantos looking for it. Edwards flicks it back to Careau. Select is the official ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com and receive free shipping on orders over $50.
Well, it's interesting, they brought Andrew Carleton now over here to this right-hand side, possibly up against the young defender, Mayer Giguère, and there we see the ball right away coming to his feet. Lovely first touch, Graham.
Good first touch from Carleton, but Nicola could have called him off there to let that ball come out a little bit deeper, as Carleton was already closed down by both Adonijah Reed and Thomas Meyer-Giguère, who deflects his cross out for another Atlanta corner. And again, Andrew Carleton to deliver for Atlanta United. Sending this one in to the back of the 6, and Maxime Crépeau catches that one uncontested.
Well, it's crucial, obviously, in the 5 minutes after a goal has been scored or a restart, Graham, that you're as solid as a rock at the back, and the Fury have been very solid here inside these first 30 minutes. It just needs to get their breath back. Yeah, the excitement, the adrenaline's pumping. You're looking forward to keep going, possibly get a second goal and put Atlanta under even more pressure. But I think it's all about just get your bearings once again, get back into your shape, get back into your system, your tactics that you've been sent out there by Coach Popovich here this afternoon. You've done well in the first 30 minutes. You've created opportunities. You've taken one of them. Now let's see if you can build on that. But above all else, don't concede a goal. Certainly a soft goal, Graham, to let Atlanta back into this before the half.
Well, we know Atlanta like to play things out of the backs. They try and work it across the back line now. Jamar Dixon giving chase there against Chris Goslin. Ollie Shannon now in possession. Sending that one out to the wide side. Played through the middle. Gallagher, his pass, knocked away by Eddie Edward. Jamar Dixon gets a touch, but it falls loose into the midfield. Atlanta United in possession, but now won back by Steven DeSantos. Pokes it free to Kevin Oliveira. Pressure coming from behind, still going. Now Adonijah Reed, who switched over to the far side, gives it back to Oliveira. Eddie Edward. Colin Falvey now back inside his own half. Daniil Henry plays that one off Andrew Carleton and into touch for an Ottawa throw-in just inside the Atlanta half. We've played just over half hour here at TD Place. Fury FC with a 1-0 lead over Atlanta United 2 on that goal in the 26th minute by Steven DeSantos, his first of the year.
I've got to say, I'm a little bit surprised that they decided to push Reed over to that far side. I thought he was getting a lot of change going 1v1 against Nicola on this near side, Graham.
Reed tried to poke it forward for Carl Howarth. Didn't miss by much, but now Atlanta an opportunity to counter. Carleton, who's drawn way back inside his own half, switches that one over. Atlanta slow things down now that they've gained the midfield. Edwards, just in front of Carleton. Adonijah Reed sends that one forward, but no one was making the run for Ottawa. That allows Ollie Shannon to outlet to AJ Cochran. Back to Shannon. Looks up, switches that one to the left side. First there was Eddie Edward to head that one into touch.
I think Ottawa's quite happy just to allow Atlanta the chance to pass the ball all the way along the back four in their own half, but when it does get into central midfield, there's a bank of 5 of midfielders there, Graham. Reed's dropping back, Howard's dropping back, and it's making it very, very tough for Atlanta to find any of that space we talked about. Certainly that pocket between the two stoppers and Portilla in front of them.
Crépeau with the long boot forward, push from behind onto Santos. No call made, brought down by Daniil Henry to Colin Falvey. That header only finds AJ Cochran. Rather make that Jack Metcalf, who reverses it for Cochran. Ollie Shannon now to Edwards. Forced back over to the left side to AJ Cochran. Ollie Shannon again. Jose Carranza. Carleton back to Carranza. Atlanta just trying to find a way into that defensive third from Ottawa, but an interception now by Adonijah Reed. has Steven DeSantos with them. Reed cutting in, twisted down from behind.
That should be a yellow card as well right there. Yep.
That will be a yellow card. And now a set piece coming for Ottawa from about 20 yards out, and Carl Hauer standing over this one immediately.
Well, Graham, Reed is causing absolute fits in that Atlanta back four here this afternoon. He's looked very, very lively. Every single time he gets the ball, he's willing to take defenders on. There we see him getting pulled back there. A very easy decision for the referee to call that yellow card, but well, a great opportunity here, 23, 24 yards from goal, Graham.
Well, and you now have both Kendall Edwards and AJ Cochran on yellows before this game is 35 minutes old. Both Carl Haworth and Christian Portilla standing over this one. I'm sure Haworth is the one to take for Ottawa. Haworth curls it in. Oh, what a strike from the captain! Carl Haworth curls it in, top corner. You're not going to see a prettier finish than that. It's 2-0 Ottawa.
Oh, what an absolute cracker that was. He knew exactly where he was going when he addressed the ball. He put it down. He was all set to put it into the back of the net. The goalkeeper throws himself well to his right, absolutely grasping the air. And what a finish off that free kick by Carl Hauer. 2-0. Ottawa here. 36 minutes gone.
Well, you saw it here first. That's your USL goal of the week right there, and it comes off the boot of Carl Haworth, his first of the season. What a strike.
That really was. And I mean, you know, Carl's been here. He's almost like part of the furniture with the Ottawa Fury. He's been here for so long, Graham. He's been through 3 different reincarnations as PDL team and NASL team, now as a USL team, and he acknowledges the fans there, but my goodness, he won't have scored a better goal for the Ottawa Fury than that free kick that just absolutely burst into the top of the net.
Well,
you're going to call me a liar?
No. You'll remember this one well, but who was the last Fury captain to score from pretty much that same spot and almost a similar goal, only hit it with the left peg?
We had him here a couple of games ago, Mr. Richie Ryan.
That was a Richie Ryan-esque goal really from the new Fury captain, Carl Haworth. What a finish.
Hey Graham, you talked off the top of the show about, you know, the 1-0 win against Penn, and anytime you get a win, that's important, but when you get a win on the road, and you have a situation when you're spending time together after games, before games, you're in meetings, you're not all with your families, you're not all spread around the city or the downtown core. It brings you together as a team, and sometimes when you play a run of games at home and results don't go your way, the heads go down a little bit. You're reading about things in the press, you're hearing about things on the radio and what have you. When you're on the road, you're together as a team, and I think that's very, very crucial for a new squad like the Ottawa Fury, coming out here with a really, really good performance here inside these first 37 minutes, Graham. Full value for this 2-0 lead here this afternoon.
Well, Carl Haworth picked up an assist on Steven DeSantos' opening goal in the 26 minutes.
I don't know how much you knew about the assist, to be honest with you.
Hey, he'll take it.
He's a little bit disappointed he didn't rattle the back of the net himself, but the fact of the matter is, what an absolute wonder strike that was off the free kick to make it 2-0. And I think there's just been a really good feel to this Ottawa Fury team here this afternoon. There's still, you know, time left for Atlanta to get back into it, but I think Coach Popovich, what he's been preaching all season, what he's been preaching all week after that win on Monday, is just to get out there and play with the belief, play with the confidence that you're going to do your job and you're going to do it well.
When you look at the front three that we've seen from Ottawa so far this afternoon through 38 minutes, this is by far the most dangerous that Ottawa's attack has looked all year.
Well, it really has, and the one thing about it is there's pace certainly with Haworth and Reed on the flanks, and you've got that target man with DeSantos, and I think the one thing, and I had a chance to look at some of the games that he's come on in the past, Graham, and I think far too often he was coming too deep. He was coming 40 yards from goal because he wasn't getting the service, and all strikers want to get the ball at their feet with an opportunity to create something, and that's exactly what he's done here this afternoon. He's pushing up and making the two stoppers commit one of them to him, and that's creating space for Reed, because when that defender vacates the space that Reed's going into, you're creating opportunities inside the box.
Howarth heads that one down out of the reach of Reed. Now it falls. Oh, wow. Perreault really had to come off his line there and just got the fingertips to that one.
Well,
before Adonijah Reed was able to get his boot to it.
Real indecision there. It wasn't the powerful of headers, and the goalkeeper does well, Graham, to come out, get his hands on that, and stop a potential third goal. And really a third goal at this point you would think would kill the match off as a contest, because the Fury are playing that well here this afternoon. Oh, it's an injury. It was Oliveira, was it?
Oliveira trying to get to the ball that Carlton was shielding, and I think he might have taken just a finger to the eye there as he immediately, he certainly fouled Carlton, but I think it was just the hand swung back and
I don't think
caught him in the eye. Nothing malicious about it.
Yeah, nothing there at all by Carlton. He was just trying to keep his body position upright, and unfortunately for Oliveira, he goes to ground. No trainer coming on though. He's going to stay on the park. No need to go off. Well, with those two goals conceded, Graham, Atlanta has now gone beyond the Fury for goals conceded. They've now conceded 15 on the season to Ottawa's 14, so not an issue at all this afternoon for the Fury in the back. They've been very, very solid. I think Falvey and Henry have got a wonderful partnership going.
Oh, great work by Eddie Edward to get to that ball from Jamar Dixon to keep it in play. Plays it all the way back inside his own half for Colin Falvey. Gets it over to Daniil Henry. Daniil Henry coming here on loan from the Vancouver Whitecaps to kind of help fill that vacant center back role left by the injured Nana Atakora, who will be our guest during halftime. So we'll talk to him about that Soccer Bowl championship with the San Francisco Deltas last season, his decision to come to the nation's capital and his road to recovery. Meyer Giguère now inside the penalty area, tries an effort on goal, a great save by Nicolas Carreault as Meyer Giguère forced him into a difficult save as he had to dive to his right at the near post.
Graham, far too easy though. He's a full-back at the left-back position here. He's inside the 18-yard box. No one's tracked him back. And above all else, when he gets that ball at the edge of the box, no one's coming out to close him down. A free shot. Good stop there by the goalkeeper though, Carreault, as he goes down to his right to make the stop. But certainly Coach Donnelly cannot be happy with this performance here in the first 42 minutes so far here in Ottawa, simply because they've looked a little bit shaky at the back, certainly down this right-hand side. There has to be a concern that Reed's having his way with you all through this first 45 minutes. And I'm sure we might see an adjustment or two at half-time. We just had a quick look at the subs, Graham. There's no recognised defender as a sub for Atlanta. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 midfielders and a goalkeeper. So there are no defenders, no forwards as far as actual players that are designated or delegated as those positions to be able to come in for Atlanta, to maybe shake things up at the back if you have to. And the one thing, they're really struggling with the pace right now. Howarth down the right channel, Reed on the left flank when he gets a chance. They're just putting these two fullbacks under a tremendous amount of pressure.
Free kick from well out. Jack Metcalf to take for Atlanta. We'll see where he tries to land this one inside the penalty area. Takes it short. They try one from well out. Ambitious effort from that distance from Chris Goslin.
That was a good 40 yards out there. It would have to be in Kenny Walker-esque to put the ball in the back of the net from that distance, Graham. It certainly was an awful long way out. And the form that Crepeau has been in, Graham, you are not beating him from that distance here this afternoon. The last 2 or 3 games, I think he's been absolutely outstanding, quite possibly one of the better players in an Ottawa Fury jersey, albeit a different colour from everybody else. But he really has looked very solid and given, along with Falvey and Henry, a very solid triangle at the back of that Ottawa defence.
Atlanta trying to get something going here. Foul called against Eddie Edward. That one right on the lip of the 18-yard box as he brought Chris Goslin down. And now a dangerous opportunity for Atlanta United 2 here.
Yeah, Eddie caught out of position a little bit. He'd crept inside to help inside along with Falvey. And as that ball went out, just lined up to take a left-footed shot. A little bit of a dip of the shoulder went away from Eddie Edward. And unfortunately for the Fury, they've now, with a minute and a half left to go in this first 45, to defend a very, very dangerous set play.
There's a crowd of white shirts that immediately ran to the set piece, everyone eager to take.
As well, you should, certainly from a right footage standpoint, Graham, it's ideal for you. The same as we saw with Carl about 8 or 9 minutes ago. You get it up and over that wall, there's a really good chance it's going to creep in under the crossbar. A little bit closer to the 18-yard box than Carl's was. Carl's was about 23, 24 yards from goal. This one is almost 18 and a half, but
Gosselin to take. Delivers this one.
Great save by Crepeau.
Maxime Crepeau able to get across. That one not close enough to the near post, but still at a dangerous height, and Crepeau able just to flick that one up and over the bar.
I think it may have been going over at best, Graham, but goalkeeper doesn't know that. He's got to make the stop.
I think that one sneaks under the crossbar if he doesn't get the fingertips to it. Hearing that we'll likely have about 2 minutes of additional time here in the first half as Christian Portilla clears away that Andrew Carlton corner.
I think the one thing that we have to be pleased about is that we've hardly called Portilla's name this entire first 45 minutes, Graham. And that's testament to the fact that the midfield three for the Fury are doing a tremendous job in forcing Atlanta, if they are going to get any success this afternoon, out into wide positions. And Giguère and Edward have dealt with it extremely well. Atlanta just hasn't done enough in the attack in third, Graham, to cause the Fury any problems here in the first 45.
That one knocked out for a goal kick. As we've reached 45 minutes of the opening half here at TD Place, 2-0 Ottawa leading on goals from Steven DeSantos and Carl Howarth, both scoring their first of the season. A reminder that at halftime we'll be joined by Fury defender Nana Atakora. And following today's match, you can head over to the Ottawa Fury Facebook page for our Fury FC post-match show on Facebook Live. That will start moments after the match. We'll hear from head coach Nikola Popovic, who we'll also hear from at halftime. And I'm certain we'll hear from Carl Howarth following the match as well today, among others. Mayer Giguère to Adonijah Reed. Reed puts on the brakes, looking inside for Oliveira. Good read by Edwards to thwart that opportunity. Carl Howarth all the way back into the midfield to win the ball back for Ottawa.
Well, you look at the play we just saw by Oliveira getting up into the attack in third, helping out there, and you just saw the play by Carl Howarth coming back into the midfield third to help out there. So all hands to the pump for the Fury here this afternoon. Everybody doing their job, their designated job here today. 45 minutes coming on.
But that's a mark of a Nikola Popovic team, that relentless effort. It doesn't matter where you are on the pitch. How many times has Adonijah Reed come back down that left side to win the ball back? Carl Howarth a couple times. Even Steven DeSantos mucking it up in the midfield to win the ball back for Ottawa.
Well, the age-old saying is you defend from the front, don't you? And that's exactly what the Fury are doing here this afternoon. Reed's dropping back to help out Mayer Giguère down this left-hand side. Eddie Edwards getting help from Carl Howarth down the right. In fact, a couple of times there we've seen Howarth actually in behind Eddie Edward on the defensive job here this afternoon. So very well played first half by the Ottawa Fury. We're almost beyond these 2 minutes now. Time added on at the end of the first 45.
And there's the halftime whistle, 2-0 through the opening 45 minutes. Steven DeSantos, Carl Howarth, goal scorer, and we're going to head downstairs and join Bianca Molnar with Fury FC head coach Nikola Popovic, brought to you by
All right,
Ross
Coach,
Video.
so do you mind sharing with us some of the key elements as to why your team was so successful during this first half of the game?
I think we are getting very, very compact. We are not allowing them to make the penetrating passes. And I think on the next half, we have to get a little bit more of possession and try to be a little bit more dangerous.
So is that what you're hoping to see more of in the second half of the game then?
Yes, I think we have to continue compact, don't allow them to penetrate us. And of course, whenever we have the ball, or we're going to try to hit them in counter-attack, or we're going to try to keep the ball.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Best of luck.
Thank you very much, Bianca. And that was Nikola Popovic. And, you know, he talked about how compact they were, and certainly that helped out on the defensive side of the game. But what's really working for them is that pace going forward. That attack, that counter-attack that we've seen so much of this afternoon, led by Howarth and Adonijah Reed, but perhaps even more importantly from Eddie Edward on the right side, Thomas Mayer Giguère on the left. really causing all sorts of problems for that back line of Atlanta United too.
They've really frustrated Atlanta. I think in central midfield they've looked very solid. I think Oliveira's been lively. Portilla's just sat back there and he's not allowed anything to get in behind him. And of course Falvey and Henry have been a wonderful partnership in these last few games, again here this afternoon. To be honest, Crepo's had not an awful lot to do. In the last few games we've seen here at TD Place, he's been player of the game almost every single time. So I think the pace you mentioned on the flanks is causing Atlanta all sorts of problems, and I'm sure at halftime there's going to be a discussion in that dressing room for Atlanta that something has to change. Maybe they go to a back three and 2 out-and-out wing backs and play man-to-man on these 2 wide players to make it difficult for the Fury to continue with that option down the flanks.
Coming up in our halftime, we'll have stats, highlights, and we'll also be joined by Fury FC defender Nana Adekor when we return. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Did you know the Brick is 100% proudly Canadian? We employ over 5,000 Canadians, and nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Hey, Impreza. What's new?
Well, I've got this available reverse automatic braking feature.
Oh.
When I reverse, I can automatically brake if I'm about to hit something.
All I do is beep.
Subaru
Beep.
Impreza.
Beep. Ouch.
Gabriel Pizza, proud supporter of local sports. Gabriel Pizza, home of the bigger, better pizza. 310 7777 or GabrielPizza.com.
What do you live for? Is it for your crew? For overcoming obstacles? Live for what you want. So what do you live for?
Welcome back inside TD Place. 2-0 Ottawa Fury FC leading Atlanta United 2 through 45 minutes of play. Now let's have a look at the USL goals of the week for Week 8.
Demente about to come in for Rodolfo's about to get under this ball in the area. He does. Nice little back pass, Johnson, and the equalizer evens the game at 1. Jamal Johnson, his 4th goal of the season. So far, here's the Roughnecks though. Best run that they've had all game. Controlling it, shooting and scoring. Pass slid away. Now a chance, a rip is in! Efrain Alvarez!
He's got my man in the match for sure. Looking forward, Mare, he's onside. Monarchs have a chance. Mare, shot and goal! Juan Mare in the 91st minute of play!
Down at the same point in time, he just cuts the back of his heel. Oh, what a ball here! It's McLaughlin!
Welcome to episode 7 of The Breakdown. I've got my good friend and roommate Cody Mizell with me. Welcome to the show, mate.
Jack, always a pleasure. Best haircut in USL.
We're going to be analysing the saves of the week this week, something slightly different. Cody will obviously give his critique on the goalkeeper, and I'll be able to give an analysis of the attacking play, so it should be a good one.
To the right side, blocked out of harm's way. Allows Restrepo to get back in. Casares a chance.
So it's a good couple actions here from Diego Restrepo. First, he's coming for a cross, looking like his 20-year-old self. Second one makes itself big and gets itself in a good position, and honestly makes a good save, push over the bar.
Yeah, from an attacking perspective, Fresno here, when Bustamante picks up the ball and Restrepo is literally 2 or 3 yards in front of him, he makes the great decision to pass it. It gives his team the opportunity and the defense of San Antonio to get back and get into a good position. So Restrepo makes a great decision. It's very forward thinking, it's on his front foot, and it's a fantastic play.
This one delivered in dangerously to the penalty area. Great save by Maxi Crepeau.
So this clip has a couple good things in it. First of all, a good decision from Crepeau to stand his line, and obviously when the header's in 6 yards out, makes a good decision, good feet, stands strong and makes a strong save to the right, keep his team in the game midway through the first half.
Yeah, and Kevin Politz takes advantage of losing his man. It's a great set piece, great ball in. One thing that maybe if he had the header again, he might choose to head it back across goal into the corner. You know, it makes it more difficult for the keeper to do that. But again, it's a fantastic effort on goal. Like Cody said, it's great reflexes from Crepeau, and it's a fantastic play.
Gets away from his defender, now sends it in towards goal. Headed save, Marcinkowski.
Marcinkowski, I think, gets my vote for save of the week this week. Puts himself in a great spot to make the save. Well defended by his defender as well to have us back after this brilliant save.
Jacob probably has in his head to head it down. You know, when you head it down, it makes it more difficult for keepers when it's at their feet. And that's exactly what he does there. So in my opinion, he doesn't do anything wrong. He does the right thing and heads it down. And Marcinkowski, it's a fantastic save. You know, reflexes are fantastic on that play. I hope you all enjoyed episode 7 of The Blake Down, something slightly different this week. Thanks again, Cody, for coming on the show.
Chaco, pleasure working with you, man.
I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Welcome back to TD Place, 2-0 at halftime. Ottawa leads Atlanta United. We're now happy to be joined by Fury and Canadian international defender Nana Atakora. Nana, thanks for joining us, and you know, I'm sure you'd love to be out there. We'd love to see you out there. But before we talk about, you know, how you got here and everything else, want to talk to you about last season and a special year that you had playing out on the West Coast with the San Francisco Deltas and winning the soccer ball.
Yeah, it was a great year. Great staff, great players, great city. First year, and we ended up winning. Unfortunate how the season ended, but you know, I loved it. I loved every moment of it.
And now you have the opportunity to also come here and play with some of your teammates that you had out there in Maxim Tissot and Christian Portilla.
Yeah, unfortunately, like myself, Max has been hurt, but Portilla's out there. He's doing well, still learning. But it's great to have, you know, players from my team last year here with me this year.
So walk us through quickly how you ended up here in the nation's capital with the Ottawa Fury. When that phone call came in, was it an easy decision for you?
It was. Julian. That's the only thing I can say. I played with Julian in Toronto. I maintained a good relationship with him, and speak with him the few times. He told me his plans here, and you know, the coach he was going to bring in, the players he was going to bring in, and it's going to be, you know, a learning process as we've seen the first few weeks of the season. But we've been playing well the last couple of seasons. Again today, I think for me, our best first half of the season. So we're getting better. So it's exciting.
And as a Canadian trying to play pro soccer in this country, what's it like to play for a general manager who now has 17 Canadians in his squad and really trying to further that agenda of Canadian players in the pro club system here in Canada?
Well, if you've known Julian his whole career, he's been about helping younger players. So what he's doing here isn't a surprise for me. You know, like you said, a ton of Canadians here. If he could, he would have more. And it's quality Canadians too. You know, we only have 4 professional teams here, and for him to be able to bring as much Canadian talent here, it says a lot about him and his character and his plans for the future. So all credit to him. It's only going to help the country grow.
And I really appreciate your time, and hopefully the next time we're talking to you, it's after you've played a match and scored a goal, and we'll get you on the post-match show.
Thank you.
Right, thanks very much. Time for a break here. Halftime continues. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Hey, Impreza. What's new?
Well, I've got this available reverse automatic braking feature.
Oh.
When I reverse, I can automatically brake if I'm about to hit something.
All I do is beep.
Subaru
Beep.
Impreza.
Beep. Ouch.
What do you live for? Is it for your crew? For overcoming obstacles? Live for what you want. So what do you live for?
Did you know the Brick is 100% proudly Canadian? We employ over 5,000 Canadians, and nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Gabriel Pizza, proud supporter of local sports. Gabriel Pizza, home of the bigger, better pizza. 310-7777 or GabrielPizza.com.
Welcome back. It's a glorious afternoon here at TD Place, and the scoreline certainly helps, at least for those fans of Ottawa Fury FC. 2-0 over Atlanta United 2 through 45 minutes. As we have a look at our first half stats, brought to you by Rico, and Gord, it's really all Ottawa Fury FC on the scoreboard. Statistically, the way the run of play, everything is going the way for Nikola Popovic's side here this afternoon.
I think, as Nana said at halftime, that's the best 45 minutes we've seen from the Ottawa Fury. Home, away, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, the statistics don't really bear it out. You look at 65% possession for Atlanta. I think that's down to the fact that Ottawa's just more than willing to let them play inside their own half with it. But when it gets across midfield, then they start to pick them up. 4 shots on target, though. That has to be something that's very, very pleasing to Coach Popovic.
Yeah, and there's been games where we've seen the volume of stats or shots certainly favoring Ottawa, but it hasn't been shots on target, and the ones that they've had been very dangerous opportunities. You think of the 2 goals from DeSantos and Howarth, but then you also think of, look at that close range opportunity from Thomas Mayer-Giguère, guy playing left back, getting inside the penalty area and getting a scoring opportunity. So certainly Coach Popovic going to be very pleased with that, as we have a look at our first half highlights brought to you by Labatt.
Well, there we see the lads getting warmed up, ready to go. Both teams. Coaches set them out with their plan, with their tactics, with their system. And here's the first one for Carl Howard. Cuts in on the left. It doesn't get enough purchase on the shot. Creates space nicely for himself. Just unfortunately drives towards the goalkeeper. A header at the back post area. Just Cochran, I think, couldn't get up enough. And here's the goal, the first one coming up. A nice little cut back. Carl kind of whiffs on it. Comes off a defender into the roof of the net. And DeSantos turns away in glee as that gives the Fury a 1-0 lead here this afternoon. And the fans certainly came to life at that point. Easy save there for the... And here's a free kick that led to the goal by Carl Howard. Just a little tug there back, resulting in a yellow card. But my goodness, what about this for a strike? Absolutely fantastic. Into the roof of the net. You know, you work on those all week. Carl just begging the supporters to get on his back. Somebody does it. And Popovic more than pleased that his team has a little bit of a breathing room at 2-0. Again at half-time. Your talk now is a little bit different at 2-0 than it is at 1-0. We saw what happened when they came out against Cincinnati, Graham, when it was, I think it was 0-0 at the time. Yep. And all of a sudden you had a situation where your half-time talk, you may have been happy to go out there and make it more of the same. Well, Cincinnati came right out, put you to the sword, and ended up scoring 3 to win 3-0. But I think his half-time talk has to be more of the same, lads. Just keep pressing, just keep harrying. Do not allow Atlanta time in central midfield on the ball to find space for the players up front. And I just wonder if, having a quick look out there, if any subs come in. I don't see any for the Fury. But I just wonder if maybe there's a substitution coming in. If we see any. Looks like no subs at half, we're being told. So certainly I'm sure Coach Donnelly will have not necessarily read the riot act, but he will not have been happy with that first half performance. And I'm sure we'll see a little bit of a pushback here from Atlanta inside these first 15 minutes. 5
subs available on the bench for Atlanta United. Backup goalkeeper Sheely Russell, Kevin Baraha, and Andrew Kenrell Moulin, the 2 midfielders, and Lagos Kunga and Joseph Samuel, the 2 strikers available. For Ottawa, the substitutions available: backup goalkeeper David Monsalve, defender Ono Obasi, midfielder Sergio Minicio and Gerardo Bruna, and forwards Azake Lubayera, Jimmy Sano, and Tony Taylor.
Well, there's enough quality on that bench for the Ottawa Fury that if things start to go a little bit south for you here in the second half, Coach Popovich can make adjustments. But my goodness, after that performance in the first 45, there is absolutely no need to change anything. Your back four have been absolutely rock solid. Your midfield three are working tremendously hard. Dos Santos down the middle is a real handful with his height and with his strength. But above all else, it's the play of Haworth and of Reid that have made it so difficult for Atlanta here to stay with them this afternoon.
Some great footwork there on display from Carl Haworth, and if not from a touch from Ollie Shannon, Haworth would have went through 5 Atlanta players, and now he'll get called for the foul there as he clipped AJ Cochran on that last challenge.
It was wonderfully quick feet, wasn't it? I mean, Carl ghosted beyond about 3 or 4 white shirts there, and unfortunately at the final hurdle just couldn't get it beyond the final one. But excellent play by both Reid and Haworth here this afternoon.
Clear blue skies, 18 degrees here at TD Place. A beautiful day in the nation's capital. It took a while for spring to finally arrive. Kisidou now in possession, gives way out to the wide side. Now cleared away by Daniil Henry. And, you know, Kisidou inside the first 10-12 minutes, he seemed to be a guy who was going to be that linchpin in the midfield. And I don't know if it's because he got moved or Ottawa just woke up, you know, in terms of, hey, we really got to close this guy down. But we didn't really mention him much after that opening 10-12 minutes.
He seemed really hungry. He wanted to get on the ball. He wanted to find space. He wanted to try and bring teammates. And I think, if you remember the scenario that happened when Gallagher made the run in behind Henry and didn't get the ball, and he had a few words for Kisidou, maybe the lad's confidence suffered a little bit, you know, like teammates are starting to get on me, blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is, just play your own game, son. Don't worry about anything else that's going on. The coach has got you out there for a reason. He thinks you can do the job. And yes, the odd pass or two here or there's not going to come out for you, but just continue doing what you've been sent out there to do.
All bouncing loose in the midfield, and now Jack Metcalf in possession, tries to send it forward, poked away by Eddie Edward, and now cleared back inside Atlanta's half. Nicola Caro well out of his goal to first get to it for Atlanta. Sean Nicola. Now Kisidou. That one knocked away, ball checks up funny on the turf. Ends up at the feet of Christian Portilla. Kisidou wins it back. Atlanta trying to find something here. That one blocked between Meyer Giguère and Daniil Henry on that effort from Chris Goslin.
Yeah, Goslin's had a pretty quiet half as well, Graham, hasn't he? I mean, certainly Carleton has tried to get the ball, he's tried to get the service, but Goslin at times just seems to be wanting the ball to come to him instead of demanding it himself, going and finding it. I think that's been the main difference this afternoon. The central midfield for the Fury are just making it so difficult for the skilled players in central midfield for Atlanta to get any time on the ball.
Jack Metcalf trying to get down that left side, met by a challenge from Eddie Edward, knocks it into touch. On the reset, it's Ollie Shannon. Shannon through the middle for Kisidou. Kisidou turns and fires! Oh, he didn't miss by much, trying to pick out that top right corner from about 25 yards out.
That was a decent effort, wasn't it? Again, he had time to turn. The ball got to feet, he just turned there, no one again in front of him, and decides, why not, I'm going to give a shot, a couple of feet high and wide, but a bit of a same sort of start that Atlanta came out with in the first 5 minutes or so in the first half. And then it just completely turned its head to Ottawa, and Atlanta certainly need to get the next goal. I mean, if Ottawa does go up 3-0, then for all intents and purposes, this thing is done.
Kevin Oliveira tries to bring it down, but brings it down to Goslin. Carranza trying to work his way through the midfield, met by a hard challenge there from Jamar Dixon. You can hear the thud of the challenge as he wins the ball back for Ottawa. Dixon, nice quick touch there to Oliveira. Has Eddie Edward in space on his right. Edward gets to the penalty spot, delivers that one in, so we make that the penalty area and chests it out at the back post by Kendall Edwards for an Ottawa corner.
I think his teammates have got to give him a little bit better shout there. I think Edwards could have let that ball run into touch. It was a deep ball by Eddie Edward. And I mean, at that point, the ball's going into touch. Reed's about 5 yards away from him, Graham. Nobody calls him to let him know that he can just let it run into touch. And another chance for Henry and Colin Falvey to come up on this set play. 6 minutes gone here in the second half.
Howard with the delivery, that one towards the back post. Untroubled was Nicola Caro. Reed, oh, nice job there to win it back from Kisadou, and then met with a hard challenge.
That's
Atlanta back in possession.
Tremendous ball there, played across by Carleton. Saw there a 2v0 on that far side. Quick switch.
Gosselin back in possession, under pressure again, this time from Christian Portilla. Rather make that Kevin Oliveira.
And that's exactly how Ottawa's been defending in midfield all afternoon, Graham.
Oliveira trying to get around the big body of Edwards, but it's called for the foul. 4,296 the attendance here at TD Place this afternoon. Carl Howard should receive at least that many votes for goal of the week. My goodness. Adonijah Reed, hard challenge there. That one from Kisadou.
That's going to be the other yellow.
No, rather make that Ollie Shannon. And Shannon goes into the books for that one.
Well, such quick feet again by Reed though, Graham. The skill that he's got, this young man's just, look at that, around Carleton. And then he plays a ball to Carl Howarth, completely taken out of the play there by Shannon. And the referee had no option really but to go to the book for another yellow card for Atlanta. I believe that's the third so far this afternoon.
So kind of like that, we'll get back to that in a second. Carl Howarth in possession, but the three kind of central defending players for Atlanta now all on yellows with AJ Cochran, Kendall Edwards, and now Ollie Shannon all on yellow cards. Carl Howarth in space delivers a great ball in to the top of the six. Cleared away, Eddie Edward heads this one back in, no pressure there. And Nicholas Caro makes the save once again.
Well, the Fury have come out again here, and in the last 3 minutes they've had a run by Carl Howarth down the right, they've had a run by Eddie Edward down the right, Reed's been down the right, he's cut inside onto the left. They're still not being dealt with properly on these wide positions by the full-backs of Atlanta early here in the second half.
Gosselin unable to turn as Jamar Dixon was right there to close him down.
I tell you what, Jamar Dixon is having an absolutely fantastic game in central midfield. There is not a ball that gets played to a white shirt that he's not within half a yard, Graham, when it arrives. He's quick as a flash, he's onto players, and he's making it so difficult, as are the rest of the Fury players in midfield, for anyone to get time in the ball in central midfield for Atlanta.
Howarth almost picked out Adonijah Reed. He would have been free in behind the defense. Kisadou trying to win it back for Atlanta. Kevin Oliveira there to do the work for Fury FC. Now Christian Portilla. To Oliveira. Under pressure, back to Daniil Henry. 55th minute at TD Place, remains 2-0 on those two first half goals. One from Steven DeSantos, the other from Carl Howarth.
I think the hunger of the Ottawa Fury, Graham, so far inside these first 55 minutes has been there for everyone to see. They're first to every 50-50-50 ball. They're making sure that if there's any second ball to be won, they're the one that's getting there ahead of the white shirts. And I've got to say, it's been very, very nice to watch here this afternoon, based on, you know, certainly all the factors that come into play with a new team and a new system, so on and so on. But everything we're seeing here this afternoon is coming up trumps.
Steven DeSantos trying to get to that loose ball. First to it was Kendall Edwards, able to play it back to Caro. You know, we talked about this in the preseason and chatting with Nikola Popovic. We talked about it since the season began, that this system, this team, it was going to take time for the system to click. It was going to take time for the players to gel. It was going to take time to find, you know, a consistent starting 11, or at least kind of like those 7-8 guys who are your regulars in your starting 11. You had injuries to deal with, suspensions to deal with. Well, from what we've seen from Monday night's match in Harrisburg in that 1-0 win over Penn FC, and through 57 minutes here this afternoon. It looks like things are starting to come together nicely for Nikola Popovic's side.
Listen, it takes players an awful lot when you've been playing a certain way your entire career. If you're a winger that's been asked to play out on the touchline the whole time, and if you're a wide midfielder playing in a 4-4-2 that's been asked to do more defensive work sometimes than attacking work, it's different when you get a new coach that comes in and his approach to the game is, you know, we're going to attack. I mean, I know we heard an awful lot from the previous coach that he was going to do, you know, I don't care if we win games 4-3, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Well, I think we're starting to see what excitement on the football park is all about for the Ottawa Fury. You're seeing hard work in the back line, you're seeing grafting in midfield, and a little bit of quality in midfield, but above all else, you're seeing the pace, and you're seeing the ability now to take your chances. You've now scored 3 goals in the last, game and a half. Just, it needs to continue. You need to make sure that you still create opportunities, but when you've got those opportunities, they end up in between the pipes.
Just having a look down on the Atlanta United 2 bench, it looks like Angolese striker Lagos Kunga is getting kitted out and ready to come into this match. He has scored one of the 9 goals that Atlanta has to their credit this season. Joseph Samuel, another substitute available this afternoon. He has one. Carlton has one. Kisadou has one. And of course, John Gallagher, the leading scorer for Atlanta United 2 with 4 goals on the season.
Well, another opportunity here that the Fury have to defend deep inside the defensive third. Looks like it will be a right-footed coming into that 18-yard box as Gallagher on the far side will be taking it. Some of the big lads come up from the back. Cochrane's come up.
Jack Metcalf.
Oh, is that Metcalf, right?
The captain settles behind the free kick. 2-man wall for Ottawa. Cochrane, the likely target at the back post. Marked closely by Falvey, and they're going to blow the whistle on that one, as going to ground was...
Well, we've got to see what's going on here, because that came, I think, before the play.
Jamar Dixon, who went down.
They're both going to get talking to. I don't think there's going to be any cards here, but there was a little bit of argy-bargy going on inside the 6-yard box before the ball came across. And Ottawa's too bad, because Ottawa Henry, I believe, did get that ball headed away out of the danger area, so now they've got it all to do all over again, as the referee will allow this free kick to get taken once again.
Again, Cochrane, the likely target. Carl Howarth heads that one away, and now a chance for Ottawa to break. Adonijah Reid going forward with speed, finds Carl Howarth on the right-hand side. Howarth cuts it across for Reid. Reid still going. Carlton now closes his down. Kisadou wins it back off Reid. Stepping up was Portilla to win it back for Ottawa to DeSantos. Now he goes to Mayer Gigueras. Ottawa slows things down after that opportunity on the counter-attack. Oh, misplayed there by Jack Metcalf, and he has to knock that one into touch. And that previous touch by Laurent Kisadou will be his final touch of the match. Had a promising start, but we didn't see him much after the opening 12 minutes. And he will give way to Lagos Kunga.
Well, that last counter-attack there by the Fury, Reid did ever so well in central midfield, and as he got beyond the defender, spread the ball out wide to Carl Howarth. I thought oh, it's a break here, Graham. Completely switched off.
Howarth gets to the goal line, cuts it back, takes a deflection, and that one out for a corner, almost deflected in for an own goal at the near post.
Everybody was paying attention, Graham, to the sub coming in. Nobody really had kept the shape for Atlanta. And my goodness, a quick throw in over the top. Carl Howarth was off to the races, edge of the 18-yard box. Got to the byline as he tried to cut it back. It was caught out by the defender, but completely switching off.
Christian Portilla delivers this one in, punched away by Carroll. First to it for Atlanta is Carlton, and he just clears it back out to midfield. First on it is Eddie Edward for Ottawa.
There was no outlet ball there at all. Everybody was inside the 18-yard box. When it got knocked out, it was straight to a red and black shirt, Graham.
Great post sends that forward. Everyone in black and red in an offside position, so that gives Jack Metcalf time to play it back to Carroll. Carroll launches this one forward right in front of the Fury bench. First to it was Jose Carranza. And now it's Jamar Dixon, who's had a solid outing in the midfield for Ottawa this afternoon.
I think it's been his best game of the season so far, Graham. I really do. I think Jamar's looked very, very solid. He's looked very, very quiet in keeping the Atlanta players at bay.
Cochran forced to play it back to Caro, deep inside his 6-yard box. Mayer Giguère heads down that clearance. That will be knocked into touch by Sean Nicklaw for an Ottawa throw-in just at midfield. Howarth brings it down. Howarth, can he cut inside? Can't pick out Reed, but has won Ottawa yet another corner.
Just like a knife through butter, Graham. The Fury are absolutely carving this back four open, and certainly we talked about the pace off the top of the show between Reed and Carl Haworth, but I'm sure they didn't even expect it to be this easy here this afternoon.
And it's not like they don't have pacey players. It's
No.
almost like the formation just isn't working for them right now.
It's very flat. There's no stagger. The two stoppers are playing very square, and I think that's causing them problems.
Haworth with the delivery. Just missed the head of Colin Falvey. Now a chance for Atlanta to clear. Jack Carlton gets bundled over from behind by Jamar Dixon.
Falvey gets a second goal. We'll never hear the end of it, will we?
Well, he enjoyed the
really
banter
did.
on Twitter in the wake of that goal, the game winner on Monday night.
Listen, we've been singing his praises all season, Graham. To me, it was an outstanding signing by Julian de Guzman to bring back a player the stature and the quality of Colin Falvey, the experience that he brings at different levels all over the world, and I think he's the type of player that this Ottawa Fury, a new Ottawa Fury, needed to make sure they had in their back line.
And Jamar Dixon did pick up a yellow card for that foul on Andrew Carlton. Metcalf into the middle. Goslin's pass back a bit too heavy. Oliveira trying to track it down for Ottawa and almost won it back off the feet of Kendall Edwards.
Oh, that's unlucky. I just momentum took him into the defender, but almost another little break there by Oliveira. We'd asked Oliveira to get forward, Graham, a little bit more. We'd asked him to be a little bit more lively into the attacking third, and he really has been that here this afternoon. I think overall he's had a very strong game alongside Jamar Dixon in central midfield.
There's a low shot, easily handled by Maxime Crépeau at his near post.
Yeah, he cut in nicely onto his left foot there, a little bit too easy, Graham. Nobody really went out there to challenge him, and a fairly routine save in the end for Crépeau, who I'm sure after his escapades the last 3 or 4 games is more than happy with the quietness he's had to deal with here this afternoon. That should have been a free kick.
Well, Jimmy Sano getting kitted out on the Ottawa bench, so even more pace to be coming into the game for Fury FC. And if you thought that they were having problems defending, wait till you see the pace that Jimmy Sano will bring to this match. Hearing that he'll be coming in for Adonijah Reed, so we'll wait for that substitution to take place. Meanwhile, Atlanta United 2 here in possession in the Ottawa half. Goslin, nice touch there. Doesn't have much of an option, tries to whip that across.
Well,
if Ryan easily controlled by Maxime Crépeau.
If it is Reed, Graham, that's coming off, I'm a little bit surprised about that. I think he's been Ottawa's best player on the park so far, 65 minutes into the match. There have been quite a few of them, but I think Reed's pace and his trickery and his ability to just confuse defenders by finding space and finding those 1v1 opportunities. Either that, maybe he's picked up a little bit of an injury, Graham. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, they know a lot better in the Fury staff than we do.
The thing that you have to like about players like Carl Haworth and Adonijah Reed is that oftentimes with pacey players, and when I played, that's about all I had.
Are you saying you had pace?
But listen, I did. And then I got married and I ate home-cooked meals. But pacey players, they love to go past players. They don't like to take players on. And the nice thing about Haworth and Reed is they thrive on those 1v1 opportunities. There's no fear in those players to take on guys 1v1, heck, even try those 1v2 opportunities, and that's what makes them both dangerous and effective for Ottawa.
And I think as an extension of what you just said there, Graham, you can have all the pace in the world, but you need to have the close control with the ball, the quick feet, the happy feet, so to speak, that when you do make that cut to left or to right, the ball is still within half a yard of you, and you're not giving the defender an opportunity to stick a foot out and nick in front of you. Haworth can certainly do it. Reid, my goodness, can he ever do it?
Oliveira, that pass a little bit too heavy. Adonijah Reid going to try and get there.
You need to be a greyhound to catch that this afternoon.
And that will be the final opportunity of the afternoon for Adonijah Reid.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic game here this afternoon. Adonijah Reid, and he can hold his head high as he walks off the park. Takes the applause from some of his teammates, and certainly I'm sure his coach would be more than happy to shake hands with him as well. He's been outstanding here this afternoon. His game after 67 minutes though has come to an end, and as you mentioned, number 24 coming in, Jimmy Sanon, he'll be looked upon to continue that pace down this right hand side and make it difficult for Atlanta once again.
Great work by Meir Giguère to get low on that challenge, to knock it away from any opportunity. I think it was Gallagher looking for the loose ball inside the penalty area. And Thomas Meir Giguère has looked very comfortable in that left back role since coming in that school day game against New York Red Bulls 2 after Onwell Bassi went out with an ankle injury just 30 minutes into the match. And Meir Giguère, typically a center back by trade on that left-hand side, but has pushed out nicely.
You know, Graham, sometimes adversity is the making of a player, and for a young man to get thrown in against an MLS outfit, albeit New York Red Bulls 2, the fact of the matter is he was terrific that afternoon. Came in, played 60 minutes, and he's made that left-back shirt his own right now.
Atlanta with some good ball movement, but that one thwarted by Colin Falvio. Outlets to Jimmy Sanon.
He's got not a lot of support helping him out. Didn't get the free kick though.
Can't believe he didn't get a foul there against John Gallagher.
And the assistant referee is 5 yards away from him, Graham. The referee himself was maybe 15, 20, but the assistant was right in front of him. Really should have been able to make that fairly standard call.
Meir Giguère just sends that one out of harm's way as Lagos Kunga was looking for the loose ball.
And we're hearing it will be Steven DeSantos coming out, and it will be Tony Taylor coming in to, I would assume, to take his role right down the middle of the park, Graham, as a striker. And I think DeSantos has been another player this afternoon that's had a terrific game for the Fury. It's tough when you're playing this system, this false nine, to lead the front line the way he has this afternoon. But when he's been asked to challenge physical side, Graham, he's done tremendously well.
And he's one player that I think Nikola Popovic really wants to see get going. You know what he's capable of doing. They haven't been able to see him have that effective presence in Ottawa's offensive game so far this season. But as things are starting to come together now in that side of the game for Ottawa, good time for Tony Taylor to get that sorted. But before he comes into the match, another sub coming up here as Chris Goslin's day will come to an end, and Andrew Kendall Moulin will now come in for Atlanta United.
Well, we did say we hadn't really seen much at all from Goslin here this afternoon, and I think a lot of that's down to Jamar Dixon, Portilla and Oliveira in central midfield. They just have not given the young man a chance to stretch his legs in central midfield. That last break though, down that right hand side, nice little ball chipped in. Andrew Carleton found a little bit of pocket of space around the 6-yard box. Dangerous header, just couldn't direct it on goal, but nobody tracked him back, Graham. That's a little bit of concern for Popovic. He can't switch off even at 2-0 with 20 minutes left to go here this afternoon.
Dixon brings that down in the midfield, but Carranza first there for Atlanta United, wins it back. Tries to cut inside. Brought down by Eddie Edward. That one headed away by Kendall Edwards. Kept in on the far side as Kunga was back to help out. AJ Cochran. Jack Metcalf now at midfield. me, Shamar Sanon back to get the touch and poke it out. And now we will have that substitution as Tony Taylor will come into the match for Steven DeSantos, who opened the scoring here this afternoon in the 26th minute with his first goal of the season that currently stands to be the match winner through 72 minutes of play.
Yeah, created by Adonai Jareed with that lovely little run down the left channel into the 18-yard box. Carl Haworth with the assist, touch to the back post area. And there was a big striker to put the ball into the back of the net for his first goal of 2018. And then, of course, we had Carl with the second wonder goal to put this game possibly beyond Atlanta here this afternoon. They've kind of went a little bit flat in the attack and third, other than that little break we had there a few minutes ago by Andrew Carleton for the header. There really hasn't been an awful lot from open play. A couple of long distance shots outside the box, Graham, that really haven't bothered Crepeau at all here this afternoon.
Metcalf heads that one forward, out of the reach of Carranza, falls to the feet of Falvey. Tries to find Sano, getting pulled down from behind. And a nice ball forward, just away from the feet of Tony Taylor. And Edwards had to come across to win the ball back for Atlanta.
Yeah, good read by Edwards, though we saw that as the stopper partner had been pulled out of position. Oh dear, just be careful.
Well, there's been a battle brewing between Carranza and Eddie Edward for about the last 10 minutes now, down that right-hand side.
Yeah, and the game's been played at a fairly decent spirit, Graham. You really don't want anything to break out here. Obviously, two lads going for the ball. Carranza was trying to win it, Edwards trying to defend it. The referee decided the free kick is coming, and it will be in Ottawa's favour.
Falvey to Daniil Henry. Sanon couldn't chase that one down. He was in an offside position.
And there we see Popovich just asking his troops to get further up the park. Don't sit back deep. Continue to press. Continue to make it difficult for Atlanta in central midfield. Again, when Atlanta's time to bring the ball out from the back, they're fine with that. Just we'll pick you up at central midfield. But when there's a throw-in, whether something along those lines, get them closed down quickly and make it difficult for them.
Jamar Dixon, a couple of nifty touches there, still going, falls to the feet of Tony Taylor. Taylor, wide to Haworth. Can he cut it back inside? Able to do so, but well into the 6-yard box, and no problem there for Nicholas Caro to dive out and intercept that cross.
A lovely play by Tony Taylor, just getting some space. A nice little outside of the right foot ball, curled right into Carl Haworth's path. And as Carl was trying to cut it back, just didn't angle it enough. Needed to be towards the penalty spot, possibly could have had another chance to kill the game off.
AJ Cochran now for Atlanta. Sends this one over the top. Daniil Henry first under it for Ottawa. Carlton gets it back to Kendall Edwards, who for a 17-year-old has had a very strong game for Atlanta United this afternoon.
Well, when you're up against a player like Steven DeSantos, who's physically big, he can play that robust kind of style, Graham. The shoulders are going into, the elbows are going into. It's very difficult. And it's a learning curve for a lot of these young lads that are coming into places like Ottawa, going up against players like Favre, players like Henry and Portilla, guys with all sorts of experience. And certainly Donnelly will be a little bit disappointed that his team 75 minutes into this match just hasn't performed up to standard. But I think a lot of that's down to the way the Furies set up and the way the Furies played this afternoon.
Their best chance really came from that free kick from Goslin late in that first half that Crepeau had to tip over the bar.
Yeah.
Short of that, you could say maybe that turn that Kisadou had early in this second half where he missed high and wide, but there hasn't been too much to bother Maxime Crepeau on the day, and now Tony Taylor looking to threaten for Ottawa.
Yeah, he didn't have an awful lot of options there. There was 5 white shirts in the 18-yard box. A 6-1 was coming back, but he did ever so well to get on the end of that ball played through.
Mayer Giguère, now Haworth. Into the middle for Jamar Dixon. Colin Falvey to Eddie Edward. Challenge there by...
And Carranza hurt himself, I think, going to ground there. He's had twisted an ankle or a bit of cramp, there it is. But a lovely counter-attack there. Jaguar did ever so well. Sorry, Portier did ever so well getting that ball through to Taylor. And again, he's had a quick look to see what are my options, what have I got? There was just nobody there. Jimmy Sonorn was very late coming into the box. No other red and black shirts decided, we're going to try and get a third goal here. No, we're quite happy with it at 2-0. Let's just see this out if we can. I wonder if it's a little bit more than just cramp here, Graham, because they are working on that knee area. I just wonder if maybe when he went to ground on the tackle to Eddie Edward, he did twist it a little bit.
Well, whatever the pressure point is, when their athletic therapist touched it, you saw the wince on Carranza's face.
And I think they've already used all three of the substitutes, have they?
Just the two so far.
Just two, right?
One more still to go, and that one likely to be Joseph Samuel. If not Kevin Baraha, I highly doubt we're going to see Sheely Russell this afternoon.
No.
Albeit I'm all for a goalkeeper coming out to play in an attacking position. All for it.
It wouldn't be the first time, but certainly you try to avoid it above all costs.
Why? You need someone to put their boot through the ball? Why not? A reminder that coming up following this afternoon's match, head over to the Ottawa Fury FC Facebook page, and shortly after the final whistle, we will have our Fury FC post-match show on Facebook Live. We will head downstairs to the media room and hear from Fury head coach Nikola Popovic. We'll, I'm sure, hear from Carl Howarth, among others. We'll get to the post-match stats and some game highlights.
Yeah, I think Carranza's done. I honestly think the assistant or the trainers just had a look along the bench, and I just wonder if it's the signals coming in to get another sub on, because he does not look comfortable at all. He's trying to force his way through. He may be able to go back on again, but we've seen a situation where you go on and you continue the hard running, the hard work that needs done, and you end up just making it worse.
Here's a chance for Tony Taylor if he can get beyond Edwards, who gets a boot to it, but it falls almost right to Taylor, if not for A.J. Cochran coming across.
And there's
now
that
Carl Howarth.
There's a 50-50 ball. We just talked every second ball, Graham, it seems to be a Fury shot that's getting there ahead of a white shot. And as we said, Carranza is going to come back on and give it another effort, but we'll keep an eye on him and see if he's able to finish out this match without further injuring that leg.
He looked much like Ottawa Bassi in that school day game, where picked up that ankle injury, came back on, was down for a bit, tried to go, and then within a few minutes after, you could tell that this was just not going to work out for him.
Yeah.
Well, Bassi is back in the Ottawa squad, trained all week, is available on the substitute bench for Ottawa. They've used two, and they have one more sub available, as do Atlanta.
Listen, I tell you what, the youngster that's now got possession of that left back shirt, he's going to be tough to move, because he's got the pace. Certainly Noah Bassi got the pace, but he's got the pace. But I think he's grown. I mean, look at what we just saw there. He's closing the player down. He knows he's got support inside by Henry. He knows he can release into midfield and try and close the play down. He's reading the game extremely well. He's got the ability to get back in cover. I think he's done a wonderful job, Graham, coming in over these last few games and filling in that left back position. Yes, you want a Bassi. Yes, you want him in there in your lineup. But the young man that's playing there right now, he's the one in possession of that shirt. And it's up to somebody else to come in and take it off him.
Well, and as a young player, when you look at the roster sheet and you say, okay, what's ahead of me? And you see Maxim Tissot, you look at his resume, you look at Ottawa Bassi, you look at his resume, years of experience, et cetera, and you
championships,
say, man, what am I going to have to do to get in that? Well, when you get the opportunity, you got to make the most of it. And so far for Meyer Giguère, he's doing quite well in that role. Shout for a handball there as play carries on.
Yeah,
that ball will go into touch for an Atlanta United 2 throw deep inside Ottawa's half.
Definitely ball to hand there. I don't think there was any motion at all by Henry to go towards the ball, and it was a fairly easy decision for the referee there, but 20 yards away to make the non-call.
Metcalf gives way to Andrew Carlton. Carranza, marked by Sanon. Played back for A.J. Cochran. Moulin. Metcalf delivers this one in, and no one in a white shirt at the back post, and good communication between Maxime Crépeau, Daniil Henry, and Meyer Giguère to let that one run out for the goal kick.
Yeah, it really was, because the defender was making the motion towards the ball. He doesn't know what's in behind him, and obviously got the shout from the goalkeeper just to let it run. Good decision, good communication, as you mentioned, Graham, between the two of them there. Again, just gets the ball knocked up into central midfield, and we start looking at different players here that have been great performances here by the Ottawa Fury. I think every single one of these players, that's a bit offside there, every single one of these players should be considered, because I think from start to finish it's been a wonderful performance by the Ottawa Fury. That's going to be a yellow card for Taylor for kicking the ball.
You know what,
away.
there's
no need for it.
It's a waste of a yellow.
Sure it is.
And look, if your player's going to get a yellow, especially a striker, someone better come up limping. No, I'm serious.
No, you're right.
It's just a waste of a yellow card.
It is, and in the 10-15 seconds that you've tried to waste there, is going to get added on at the end of time added on, and who knows, that may produce a late tying goal for Atlanta. So, bit of a silly play there by Taylor, but there was really no need to be worrying about kicking the ball away. There was no rush, I think, by Atlanta to quickly get things into the counter. I'm not sure.
Play immediately blown dead is Ollie Shannon, I think, got the knee of Kevin Oliveira.
Yeah, right in the back of the head, I think, and that's why. Obviously, that's the only reason the referee would stop play, isn't it? Is for a blow to the head, and oh geez, that's a sore-looking one. That really is. I mean, purely accidental. I mean, the player went to ground, and the knee accidentally took him out. But right away, good refereeing, seeing that there had been a head wound, and right away the call went to the bench to get him looked at. Donnelly's just asking him, is he staying in? Is he coming out? What are we doing? Yeah, I think Donnelly's asking the assistant that the fourth official here, shouldn't that have been something a little bit more serious? But I honestly think it was purely accidental, Graham. When the player slid in, obviously came around knee height, and that was obviously nothing the Fury player could do to get out of the road.
Well, he has a gash in the back of the head behind the right ear, so they're tending to that now, and he won't be able to come back into play until that's dealt with. Sergio Minicio is kitted out and ready to come into this match for Ottawa as they look to finish this one out here. 84th minute at TD Place. 2-0 Ottawa leading on first half goals from Steven DeSantos and Carl Haworth. Portilla to Sanon. Sanon trying to draw Edwards out wide. Cuts back inside on Edwards. Sanon still going. Heavy challenge there. And that thwarts the opportunity as Carl Haworth wins the ball back for Ottawa to Meyer Giguère.
Terrific work by Haworth. Oh, something's going on here. I'm not quite sure. Players going down here on this near side.
Yeah, AJ Cochran has been down at midfield for about the last 30 seconds.
They're dropping like flies, aren't they, here? I mean, you get bodies everywhere. You get one getting dealt to with a head wound. You've got one on the ground. And Atlanta's only got the one sub left, so.
Well, heat can't be a factor because surely it's hotter in Atlanta than it's been here.
No, that's for sure. That is for sure. But to me, you look around here. We're seeing number 80 coming out for the Ottawa Fury, Christian Portilla, and he's had a very quietly effective game here this afternoon, Graham, just sitting in front of that back two. And I think he's had a very solid game as he acknowledges the support of the fans as they give him a round of applause going off. Minicio will come in. He'll just, I think it'll be a straight like for like swap. He'll sit in central midfield where Portilla had been. We've seen him the last couple of games that we've seen him in action, Graham, in that left back position, and I think he's far more comfortable being in that central midfield role.
We were talking about to Nena Adekora about his time with the Deltas last season, and now having Maxime Tissot and Christian Portilla, who he played with out there. Portilla, who was very effective for San Francisco in the spring season, didn't play at all in the second half after he sustained a pretty significant knee injury. So to see where he's come in his recovery and the performance we've seen from him for the better part of the season here in Ottawa, and again, you said a quietly effective game for Ottawa this afternoon. It's great to see, and I'm sure he's very happy with how that recovery's gone.
I think for a lot of people are wondering, you know, what type of player he is, where he sets up on the park. Think Richie Ryan. Richie Ryan would just sit in front of that back two. He'd try to control the tempo, the momentum of the game. And that's exactly how he's been playing so far here when he's been on the park, just sitting in front of Falvey and Henry and making sure that there's nothing at all coming down the middle of the park. Everything's been forced out wide, and of course Edward and Giguère this afternoon have been doing a tremendous job taking care of any play coming down the flank. So a solid performance by the Fury. There's still 3.5 minutes left to go. Yes, there's still a lot of work to get done, but be careful there. It could be construed as a pass back. Oh.
Well, that's on that's on Andrew Carleton, not on Crapo for coming out. That's
well, here we see it. I mean, Henry's just trying. Yeah, when you jeez, another head wound there.
Well, but that's also dangerous for the goalkeeper because you can flip a goalkeeper coming in like that when he's well up in the air.
And the goalkeeper's quite entitled to come out, challenge for the ball. That's how we see goalkeepers all over the world coming out, knee up, protecting himself. And unfortunately for Carleton, he just took the full brunt of that as the ball right into his head.
Atlanta, in that last break, did make their final substitution as Kevin Baraha comes in for A.J. Cochran, who went down what looked to be perhaps a groin or hamstring injury. Ollie Shannon has had that gash in the back of his head all patched up. He's now back into the match as well, because there was a period where Atlanta were playing with
11v9.
9 men.
But you've got Carleton off now, so you're now still at 10v11. So certainly a lot of players in white shirts in the wars here this afternoon.
Taylor down the left side, cuts onto his right. Jimmy Chamar-Sano skies that one at the back post and just landing on the other side of the crossbar.
That was a good idea because Taylor had saw that Oliveira had made the run into the 18-yard box at the penalty spot area, and a couple of white shirts went towards him. Shannon just snuck in the back there, and I think his first intent should have been to play the ball back square to where Oliveira was, but decided to go for glory, I think, knocked the ball up into the air and ended up over the crossbar. Dixon has been an absolute rock out there this afternoon, Graham, and as we said, there certainly is quite a few man of the match considerations, but Dixon is certainly one of the ones that we will have to give some serious consideration because he's been fantastic in the heart of that defence, midfield, sorry.
Something that we've talked about the last couple of home games here. How many offsides has Ottawa had?
Well, yes.
And we're talking 0 in most cases. And how many have there been today? Albeit some were marginal, but just the fact that they're playing with that confidence that high line can be that much higher. That you're not drawing so far back in the midfield like you spoke of earlier. There's no need to do that.
No. And it's an indication of where the game has been played. And the game predominantly has been played obviously in the midfield third, but an extra 10-15 yards back towards the Atlanta goal, and that's just strictly down to the fact that the Ottawa Fury have not given the Atlanta United 2 any opportunity to settle in this match. We're now in the 90th minute, and the Fury are pressing and closing and harrying just as much now as they were the first minute of the game. Oh, I've been told there's 5 minutes being added on, and that obviously would stand to reason with the amount of injuries that we have had going down here in the second half. But the Fury very, very comfortable so far here this afternoon, and it would take an absolute collapse for them to drop these 3 points here today.
Long ball played over the top. It's a long run for Gallagher to try and get to that one, cleared away. Carranza in possession now for Atlanta.
And Gallagher really has been quiet this afternoon. I thought in the first half he was making some really nice runs in behind the defence and trying to get behind defenders, get those penetrating runs, but in the second half he's been completely shut down by the Ottawa Fury. Certainly those two lads
completely played out of this game because you know what? He hasn't done anything in possession. You're right, he's made some good runs, he's found space, but beyond that, there hasn't been much from Atlanta's the leading scorer on the afternoon.
But if he's not getting the service, Graham, that's because if you'd have been cutting it out, Dixon, Portilla, Oliveira, fantastic job in central midfield. And the midfielders have not been able to get the time to get their head up and see where Gallagher's runs are coming from.
And the thing you have to like about Jamar Dixon's game, especially his defensive game, is when he goes in for a challenge, he's all in.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not going to, you don't lose challenges when you go in 100%, especially if the other guy's only going in 50 or 80%. And he has put in some very hard challenges and won some balls in some key areas for Ottawa this afternoon. That one out of play. And a goal kick coming up here as we've reached the 90 minutes here at TD Place. 4,296 the attendance on the afternoon. A gorgeous afternoon here in the nation's capital today.
Well, I'm sure when we hear the post-game comments from Coach Popovich on our Facebook Live presentation at the end of these 90 minutes, it's going to be a very positive approach, as well as it should be, Graham. It's been the type of performance I'm sure that he's thought that this team was capable of all season long, and it just hasn't come together. Yes, you've taken 3 points off against a team that's only one rung above you in the Eastern Conference standings, but I think it's the nature of the performance, Graham. How well the back four's worked, how terrific the central midfield has been, and above all else, how dangerous you have looked going forward. Put it all together, and if you have those three facets of your game working well, you're always going to be in with a shout to win matches.
Oliveira calls for the foul on Carranza, and he was
had a couple of bites at him,
nipping at him the whole way down that left side. Metcalf with the delivery. Mayor Giguère just clears that one out of harm's way, into touch for an Atlanta throw here. We were told that there would be a minimum of 5 minutes of stoppage time here in the second half. Still a couple more to go, as Ottawa look to close out their second consecutive win of the season and their first win at TD Place this year. This will improve their home record to 1 win, 2 draws, and 1 loss, and improve their overall record to 2 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses.
But above all else, Graham, you've potentially kept another clean sheet now. The third, that's a foul throw. The third one on the row. Oh, Dixon's in trouble here because he's already on a yellow card. He's got to be very, very careful. Well, nothing was taken there by the referee. But now you've put together a 3-game undefeated streak now, right? A draw and 2 wins. And that has to be the positives that you're going to take. We talked about positives you take from a loss. Positive you take from a win is, let's keep it going, lads. Let's absolutely keep it going.
And if you look at the course of the last 5 games, 2 wins now, 2 draws, 1 loss, and that 1 loss, hey, let's be honest, they played FC Cincinnati tremendously well through 45 minutes, weathered a storm to start the second half. Things were looking okay.
Yes.
And then you give up, you give up 3 goals in 9 minutes, and you're just stunned. You're like, what just happened in this game?
That was the word that we used, wasn't it? It was stunned, and that was exactly what it felt like watching Coach Popovich, and I think it was Colin Falvey that came out at that point as well. So,
well, look, I'm sure that after 45 minutes, Coach Popovich and his team are thinking, hey, look, this is working. This system is starting to work here.
Yeah.
Now, FC Cincinnati certainly found an extra gear in that second half. But outside of that, that was in that second half was the only real blemish in these last 5 fixtures now for Ottawa, as things start to click together for Nikola Popovich's side.
And let's not discount the defensive stability that a player like Henry alongside Falvey has brought to this lineup. Yes, we're all waiting for Nana to come back, and we're all waiting for, there we are. But I think the performance by those 2 stoppers has been immense over the last few games.
Well, certainly the addition of Daniil Henry has changed things dramatically in that back line, and congratulations to Nikola Popovich and his squad. First home win of the season, first home win for Nikola Popovich here at TD Place, and a fantastic crowd here this afternoon. You couldn't have asked for a nicer day for a soccer game here in the nation's capital. 2-0 the final for Ottawa Fury FC. Steven DeSantos opened the scoring. Carl Howarth scored the match winner, Gord. Let's get to our Ottawa Citizen man of the match. You talked about it. Look, we could have picked from a whole host of guys,
really
but
could've.
one guy, he wears the captain's armband. He's going to be a key factor in Ottawa's offensive side of their game. When he goes well, this team should go well. And today's man of the match, the captain, Carl Howard.
Yeah, he got an assist, albeit possibly not one that he was proud of for the first goal, but my goodness, that second goal was worth the admission price alone, wasn't it? The free kick into the roof of the net to really put the game well out of reach of Atlanta. One or two chances that they could have come back into it, but my goodness, that back four performance again here this afternoon. Here we see his goal to put the ball in the back of the net to make it 2-0, and absolutely wonderful strike, cleanly over the wall and into the roof of the net. Goalkeeper grasping at it, nothing that he could do with that stop at all.
Final thoughts on the match.
I thought everything came together. We were all waiting for one of these type games by the Fury where everything clicked, the goalkeeping, defending, midfield, attack. Quality chances were being taken care of, and that's exactly what I think we saw this afternoon. And Popovic, really looking forward to hear what his comments are post-game, but he has to be over the moon with that performance here this afternoon.
Oh, that's a perfect segue, Gord, because coming up momentarily, head over to the Ottawa Fury FC Facebook page, and you can tune in to the Fury FC post-match show on Facebook Live. We'll hear from Ottawa Fury FC head coach Nikola Popovic. We'll hear from Carl Howarth. I'm sure a few other players in the mix following the game. We'll get to our stats and highlights to close out the first home win of the season, second straight home win for Ottawa Fury FC. For Gordon Smith, myself, Graham Ivory, our producer Mike Sutherland, and our entire crew, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.